All right, we need to go a little further here because this is really, once again, just amazing. As always, um, to kind of get the gist of what I'm about to say here, just keep in mind what we're looking at, chapter 7, verse 13, is about Leviathan, right? It's about that serpent, okay? The broad way, the path that leadeth to destruction. We know that the serpent is the one that has set that in place. And we know that it is connected exclusively to Genesis 6, the sons of God taking on themselves the daughters of men, which is revealed the sacred feminine. In other words, that inverted triangle known as the broad way. Now, that is one variable aspect of that understanding, but it is intrinsic to link it to the image or the philosophy of the serpent. Because just as you know, Enki is the serpent, Enki is Leviathan, he is the destroyer. All of this is paired up with that way that leadeth to destruction, in which in reality he's trying to gather all of them unto him, is he not? If you understand what Genesis chapter 48 and 49 are about, Jacob's dying blessing in chapter 49 describes that the gathering of the people is going to be unto this Shiloh, not unto Judah, but it's going to be unto Shiloh. And we know that Shiloh is this Antichrist. If you want to fully understand that, you should view a video series I did entitled Ephraim and Manasseh, USA, UK. So we see that, of course, this lineage of Jacob, which is connected to this ancient serpent line, this blood royalty that they believe they have inherited from these ancient fallen sons of God. We could connect this even further just by thinking about things that we see in the world around us once again. If you think about a serpent, think about a snake and his tongue. The tongue is used to sense electrical disturbances and chemical anomalies that are within the air. And as you know, we said that Satan was the prince of the powers of these air. If you know that the serpent tongue is tasting the air, well, would you not think that there should be something there that would fulfill the fractal, that would connect us directly back to this Jacobson's line, the sons of Jacob, in other words, this serpent lineage? Well, yes, it is. The very organ that is responsible for the sensory perception of the serpent's tongue is called the Jacobson's organ. The Jacobson's organ. You think that's by accident? No, it's not. That's a part of the holographic universe. That's a part of the projection of information from the original source onward into the equational distance as it now manifests into the reality around you. That's how you know the truth. So the very serpent's tongue, the very organ, is known as the Jacobson's organ. You think that's by accident? No, it's not. So none of this else is by accident. Obviously, Jesus Christ knows who this fallen prince is. He knows who this fallen prince symbolizes and represents himself as this serpent. And as you can see, if we were to turn the page back, that's exactly what Jesus Christ is talking about. And it's done in such a way that is going to be at least miraculous for me, because it will fulfill more previous series, or the previous series that I have already uploaded. And one of them, the series Ye Are Gods. Listen close to see the connection to the video series about that manna, the philosopher's stone that is even termed as bread. This bread that Moses had offered, we know that was the false manna, and then Jesus Christ refers to himself as the true bread. Listen to how all of this comes together, and keep in mind, it's right before the few verses where Jesus Christ describes this destruction, this destroyer, and the broad way, in perfect association as I've explained it to you with the serpent. You will see that that is what Jesus Christ is talking about if you guys got the ear to hear. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you whom, if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Now that's incredible because we know the manna is called the philosopher's stone. It is made from an elemental stone known as gold. Or what man is there of you whom, if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Now keep in mind, we've already shown all of the verses that pertain to this. And then you really, if you have not seen the series, Ye Are Gods, it will explain all about this manna. It will explain about the folly of Moses and Aaron on that Mount Sinai. In other words, the mountain of sin. It will explain what that manna really is as it's falling with the dew coming from the temple of Hathor atop Mount Sinai. That's right, an Egyptian temple. As you see, and if you should see, Jesus Christ is speaking out against this manna, which is termed as bread. Now we know that who is offering this manna? It is the serpent gods. It is their serpent knowledge, the very serpent lords that are associated with ancient Babylon, with even the Judean kings themselves, even these Egyptian pharaohs. This is what is being given to them so that they can supposedly reach their divinity, or they can supposedly attain a higher plane. All of this has much more to it. As I've said, we've talked about it in that series. But what I want you to see is that here is further insight. Here's a further parable of truth as Jesus Christ is revealing in every way possible what the fullness is of his good news, what the fullness is of his revealing of these secrets of these serpents. Or what man is there of you whom, if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Well, the sons need bread, but they need the true bread. For the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world. Not this stone that's being given in place of bread, which is a direct result of the serpent knowledge. Verse 10, or if he ask a fish, will he give him a serpent? The very next line in context to this false manna that is being offered to these serpent kings. And then further, you see Moses seek to offer it now to the children of Israel. So what God is really saying here, for you that have the simplicity to see it, that he's saying, if ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father, which is in heaven, give good things to them that ask? Think about that. He's saying that even the people that are evil-minded in raising their children still give their children good things. They don't give them stones for bread, and they don't give them serpents for fishes. Now, that's the average masses of peoples that we see here. Jesus is saying that the Father in heaven is infinitely more good to the children than even the worst parents that still give good things to their children here on earth. So he does not offer stone as bread. He does not offer this manna in which their fathers did eat in the wilderness and are dead. He is that bread of life. He does not offer serpents in place of fish, because you have to think about it. Fish are in perspective to the believers. Fish are in respective to an ancient cliche saying that says, if you give a man a fish, he's going to eat for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he shall eat for a lifetime. We know that the believers are associated with the symbol of the fish. And we know that the believers that are associated with the devil are associated with the serpent. Which one are you going to offer as the teachers to your children? Are you going to offer these that represent that symbolic of the fish, in which we learn by experience that it's the experience that Jesus Christ wants us to have, which will cause us to obtain whatever we need in the infinity up ahead? But instead, we see that so many people are seeking to offer the serpent in place of those that are the true fish, the true believers in Jesus Christ, that are living within his waters, that are following after his lead. Please understand that. So what's amazing to me is that it clearly falls Use this manna as that philosopher's stone, and now you see Jesus Christ reveal it as the stone as well. Incredible. And for a friend of mine that goes by the name Nancy Tidbits, hello, how you doing? Yeah, it's been a little while. I did try to comment back to your comment, but of course I've reached some sort of comment limit, and it seems that whenever I try to answer or expand on an insight that you had offered, in which it was a great insight, I do see what you see, but also I see a greater variable about this righteous judgment. Nancy basically says that, is it not happening now that a righteous judgment is taking in place, basically in essence by the discernment of the children of God? Yeah, in a way, we are to discern their motives so that we can distinguish their actions from either being good or evil. But we don't yet deliver a righteous judgment. A righteous judgment can only be given by the Father who has actually created these beings. The Father is the one that will see them before they have rebelled and see them in their still innocent state. And then that is the state in which the Father's love is motivated to judge them. The Father doesn't see where you are at, particularly at this moment, from the influence of the world. He sees the potential that you could obtain from the influence of the leading of the Son. So that is what a righteous judgment is. You cannot be judged righteously until you have completed your life in the flesh. To judge you while you're still living your life in the flesh, while you're still seeking and learning and maturing upon the path, would not be a righteous judgment. So yes, we do discern in knowing their fruits. We must judge their fruits. We must judge their actions to understand what their motives and who they are. But yet we can't deliver a righteous judgment to them. We're not their creator. Anyway, guys, I hope that for anybody that wants to see the more amazing connection and conclusion to what this really leads into, the fullness of it, please watch the video series that I did entitled Ye Are Gods. I promise you it'll be worth your time. I promise you that. Even for people that don't believe in Jesus Christ, because there is so much there that is beneficial for everyone to understand and know. What I have in front of you is something that I showed in that video. It's a map of the route of Exodus, and it gives us the perfect geography, the image of this Red Sea. Now, I'd like to remind you that the dragon is considered this great red dragon, and then this dragon is associated with the symbolage of the serpent. Now, in perspective to what Jesus Christ described about this manna, about this bread, as we just saw in the other previous chapters, this is where Moses is offering this fallen manna, this perverse manna, this perverse bread. He's offering it right here in the Sinai Peninsula. I'd like you to understand that the Red Sea now forms a perfect shape of an open serpent's mouth. And that is not by accident. An open serpent's gaping mouth. And then this is exactly where we have Mount Horeb. This is exactly where the temple of Hathor is, in which Moses had offered this fallen manna, the false bread, the monatomic gold, that stone that is not the bread of life, and that any that did eat of it are dead. Now, you can see that there is an inverted triangle there, is there not? The path, the wide path that leadeth to destruction. What does the inverted triangle symbolize? Well, it symbolizes the sacred feminine. It symbolizes Ishtar. What is Ishtar's symbol? Okay, because Ishtar has many symbols, but as a fertility goddess, one of her main symbols is the rabbit. And that's exactly what we see manifest now on this map. The two very large bunny ears of the rabbit. And even a little pointed, almost little nose area where the rabbit's nose is close to its eyes. It's almost perfect. It's almost perfect. So just like we know that Ishtar is representative of this androgyny, this dual polarity, even in the very geography of the region, the duality, the manifestation simultaneously of the masculine serpent timed with the feminine polarity represented by this rabbit, in which you see being displayed in our world perfectly by Playboy bunnies, right? And then if you've watched previous videos that I did, that movie that was Night of the Comet, I think it came out in 1984. At the very end of that movie, they show you the assemblage for the inverted triangle in perfect accord with a bunny rabbit. Does anybody remember the short video that I did about the logo for Nike and how Nike is a victory goddess, female, but it's also an anagram for Inky, represents the masculine. So Inky is the serpent, Nike the feminine. Once again, the inverted triangle, there we have the overlay, the duality. It is all absolutely there. So if you want to understand about how this serpent shall eat the dust of the earth all the days of his life, just like it says in Genesis, here we have the serpent. The very dust of the earth is that monatomic gold that was described as a very small round thing, like the very hoarfrost of heaven. Hoarfrost of heaven. And we know that Ishtar is this whore, as we can see this promiscuous bunny that represents fertility. In other words, screwing like rabbits, as you would associate that with a whore. So Israel has taken many other lovers that is associated with many waters, that is perfectly associated with this serpent doctrine. I hope that really you guys realize that this is the way that it works. This is the way that it works. The Spirit of Truth can fulfill on every plane of perception, but it's dependent upon those who realize it to be able to fulfill on these planes of perception also. If you're still blinded by doctrine and tradition, if you cannot distinguish that jealousy, wrath, anger, and vengeance is something that we do not want in the trait of our Father, then you're probably never going to see here in this life that it's going to take the righteous judgment on the other side when you actually see that loving hand extended by the Creator towards you unconditionally, still offering you that eternity regardless of the actions that you have manifested in this world. Because remember, the actions that we manifest are motivated by the inspiration of the world itself, and this world is under deception. So many people are still in the very innocence of their childlike selves, and this is why you must still be like a child to enter into the kingdom of heaven. A child can easily understand that you don't want a serpent crawling up your spine, that you don't want a serpent invading your temple. I hope that you have that simple wisdom of a child. I'll be back.